The stars looked different from this part of space. Admiral Kang Do-hun stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable and watched the light of 1,000 suns spread across the viewport. His silver hair was cut short in military style. His left arm, made of metal and circuits, hung at his side. He had lost the real one in a battle on Mars 15 years ago. He never got used to the fake one. "We are coming out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, Admiral," said Commander Yoon Hana. She was a tall woman with her black hair pulled back tight. Her eyes were sharp and never missed anything. She had grown up on a mining colony on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Life there was hard. It made her hard, too. The ship shook as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The view changed. Now there were ships everywhere. Alien ships. Hundreds of them. They were all different shapes and sizes. Some looked like insects. Some looked like birds. Some looked like nothing humans had ever seen before. "They are scanning us," said Lieutenant Park Ji-seok from the weapons station. He was young, only 26, with a baby face that made him look even younger. This was his first time in deep space. His hands were shaking a little, but his voice was steady. "Let them look," said Admiral Kang. "We have nothing to hide." This was the moment humanity had been waiting for. First contact with the Galactic Confederation. Over 200 alien species all working together. They had sent a message to Earth 3 years ago. They had watched humans for a long time. Now they wanted to meet. The alien ships moved to surround the Indomitable. Commander Yoon noticed that all of them had their weapons ready. "Friendly welcome," she said quietly. A message came through the communication system. "Human vessel, follow the escort ships to Nexus Station. Do not change course. Do not power your weapons. Any wrong move will be seen as an attack." Admiral Kang nodded slowly. "Do as they say. We came here to make friends, not enemies." The journey to Nexus Station took 3 hours. When they finally saw it, everyone on the bridge stopped breathing for a moment. The station was huge. It was bigger than any city on Earth. It was built around a dead star that still glowed with strange light. Ships flew in and out like bees around a hive. "Beautiful," whispered Dr. Baek-Yoonji. She was the ship's doctor and also studied alien life. She had dreamed of this moment since she was a little girl. The Indomitable docked at a special port. A delegation was waiting for them. The first alien to step forward had 6 arms and eyes like a fly. She moved with grace despite her strange body. "I am Ambassador Syra," she said. Her voice was soft and musical. "Welcome to Nexus Station. I will be your guide to the Confederation." Admiral Kang bowed his head in greeting. "Thank you, Ambassador. Humanity is honored to be here." Ambassador Syra led them through the station. She explained how the Confederation worked. "Every species has a rank," she said. "The rank is decided by military strength. The strongest species lead, the weakest serve." Commander Yoon frowned. "That does not sound very fair." "It has kept peace for 10,000 years, said Syra. "No one fights because everyone knows their place." They entered a great hall. It was full of aliens of every kind. At the far end, on a raised platform, stood the largest alien Admiral Kang had ever seen. He was over 3 meters tall. His skin was covered in scales that shimmered like jewels. Medals hung from his chest. His eyes were cold and proud. "That is High Marshal Veltris," whispered Syra, "commander of the Thalen Dominion. His people have been the strongest for 3,000 years. No one has ever defeated them." Veltris walked toward the humans. Each step made the floor shake. He stopped in front of Admiral Kang and looked down at him like a man looking at an insect. "So these are the humans," Veltris said. His voice was deep like thunder. "Small, soft, weak. I am surprised you survived your own planet." Admiral Kang did not look away. "We are stronger than we look." Veltris laughed. It was not a friendly sound. Tell me, little human, what is your combat history? What great wars has your species fought? The hall grew quiet. Every alien turned to listen. Admiral Kang spoke calmly. We have fought many wars. Wars between nations. Wars between ideas. Wars that killed millions. 2 great world wars, hundreds of smaller ones. We fought on land, in the sea, in the air, and in space. We are always fighting. It is what we do. The aliens looked at each other. Some seemed confused. Some seemed worried. You fight each other? Asked Veltris. Your own kind? Yes. That is not war, said Veltris. That is madness. That is savagery. True warriors fight with honor. They follow rules. They have dignity. He waved his hand like he was pushing away a bad smell. Humanity will be tested. You will enter the tournament of supremacy. If you lose, you will serve the Confederation as the lowest rank. Your people will be workers and servants for the real warriors. Commander Yoon stepped forward angrily, but Admiral Kang raised his metal hand to stop her. We accept, said the Admiral. Veltris smiled with too many teeth. Good. Prepare to learn your place in the galaxy, little humans. Later, back on the Indomitable, Commander Yoon exploded. How could you agree to that? They are setting us up to fail. Admiral Kang sat in his chair. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with something dangerous. They think they know war, he said quietly. They have their tournaments and their rules and their honor. They fight like it is a game. He looked at his metal arm. We fight to survive. We fight to win. There is a big difference. What are you going to do? Asked Dr. Bayek. Admiral Kang stood up and walked to the viewport. Outside, the alien ships still watched them with their weapons ready. They want a demonstration of what humans can do, he said. Then we will give them one they will never forget. Master Sergeant Choi Mira had been standing in the corner, silent. She was the leader of the Marines on the ship. Her body had been changed with machines to make her stronger and faster. People called her the Wall because nothing could get past her. When do we start? She asked. Admiral Kang turned to face his crew. These were his people. They had followed him through battles that should have killed them all. They trusted him with their lives. Now, he said, we start now. 2 weeks passed. The tournament of supremacy was about to begin. Ships from every corner of the galaxy had come to watch. The viewing platforms around the battle arena were packed with aliens who had traveled for months just to see this moment. Everyone wanted to watch the new species fail. The Indomitable floated alone in the human section of space. Around it, massive alien warships took their positions. Some of them were 10 times bigger than the human vessel. Their hulls were covered with weapons that glowed with strange energy. On the bridge, Commander Yoon Hana was studying the tournament rules on her screen. The more she read, the more confused she became. This makes no sense, she said. Admiral Kang looked up from his chair. What did you find? The rules, she said. Ships start at a fixed distance from each other, then they take turns shooting. One side fires, then the other, like a game of chess, and the goal is not to destroy the enemy ship. You are supposed to disable it. Killing is considered dishonorable. Lieutenant Park Ji-seok turned from his weapons station. His young face showed disbelief. They take turns? In a battle? Yes, said Yoon. And there are rules about what weapons you can use. Rules about movement. Rules about everything. This is not war. This is a dance. The door to the bridge opened. Ambassador Syrah walked in. She had asked to visit the human ship in secret. Her 6 arms were pressed close to her body, a sign of worry in her species. I came to warn you, she said. The Thalan are not like other species. They have never lost, not once in 3,000 years. Their ships are faster, stronger, and better armed than anything you have faced. Admiral Kang nodded slowly. We understand. I do not think you do, said Syrah. Her compound eyes looked sad. High Marshal Veltris wants to make an example of you. He wants to show the galaxy that humans are nothing. He will not hold back." "Neither will we," said Commander Yoon. Syrah looked at the humans with something like pity. "You do not understand how this works. The Confederation has spent 10,000 years making war into an art. Every move is planned. Every shot is calculated. It is beautiful and terrible at the same time. Your species, you are too young, too wild. You will be destroyed." Admiral Kang stood up and walked to the ambassador. He was much shorter than her, but somehow he seemed just as tall. "Ambassador, let me tell you something about humans. We did not survive by being beautiful. We survived by being stubborn. We survived by doing whatever it took to win. And right now, we have been told that if we lose, our entire species becomes slaves." His eyes were hard. "We will not lose." Syrah was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "I hope you are right. I truly do." She turned to leave, but stopped at the door. "Be careful of the Thalan. They are honorable in their way, but their pride is dangerous. If you embarrass them, they will not forget." After she left, Master Sergeant Choi Mira spoke up from the corner where she had been listening. "I have been studying their warriors. The Thalan, I mean." "What did you learn?" asked Admiral Kang. "They are big, strong, fast, but they have never faced close combat like humans know it. They fight at a distance. Their battles are decided by big ships shooting at each other across space." She smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "They have no armor against gas, no protection against flash grenades, no training for fighting in tight spaces. If we can get soldiers onto their ships, that would break every rule of their tournament," said Dr. Baek Yunji. She had been quiet until now. "It could ruin any chance we have at diplomacy." "Doctor," said Admiral Kang gently, "they have already decided we are beneath them. They are not offering us friendship. They are offering us a chance to prove we deserve to be slaves or something slightly better. Diplomacy ended the moment Veltris called us savages." The preliminary rounds began the next day. The Indomitable faced smaller species first. Ships from worlds that had been part of the Confederation for centuries. They followed all the rules. They took their positions at the proper distance. They waited for the signal to begin. The humans did not wait. The moment the battle started, the Indomitable moved, not backward to increase distance, as the rules suggested. Forward, straight at the enemy. The alien ships were confused. Their targeting systems were designed for long-range combat. At close range, they could not track the human vessel properly. Lieutenant Park fired everything. Not in elegant volleys like the aliens expected. All at once. Missiles and energy beams and kinetic rounds, all targeting different systems at the same time. The enemy ship could not defend against all of it. The first battle lasted 4 minutes. The alien ship was disabled, spinning dead in space. The Indomitable had barely been scratched. The watching crowd was silent. The second battle was the same, and the third. The humans refused to fight the way they were supposed to. They moved when they should have stayed still. They attacked when they should have defended. They broke every tradition of proper warfare, and they kept winning. On the flagship of the Thalen Dominion, Blade Captain Korath watched the battles with growing worry. He was young for a Thalan, only 89 years old. He had spent his whole life learning the art of war. He had studied every battle of the last 1,000 years. He had never seen anything like this. He went to High Marshal Veltris. The old warrior was sitting on his command throne, surrounded by screens showing the human victories. "High Marshal," said Korath, "the humans. They do not fight like anyone we have faced before. They have no honor, no pattern, no predictability. Perhaps we should study them more before—" "Enough," said Veltris. His voice was like ice. "They win against weaklings because they use tricks." "Dirty tricks. Any species with no honor can do that. When they face a true warrior, when they face us, they will crumble." He turned his cold eyes to Korath. "Are you afraid of them, Blade Captain?" Korath straightened. "No, High Marshal. I am simply cautious." "Caution is for the weak. We are Thalan. We do not fear primitives who cannot even control their own planet." Veltris waved his hand. "You will face them in the semi-finals, your ship against theirs, and you will show them what real warriors look like." Korath bowed. "As you command." As he walked back to his ship, the Eternal Glory, Korath could not shake the feeling in his gut. He had watched the humans fight. He had seen the look in their eyes. It was not the look of warriors playing a game. It was the look of survivors, the look of people who had nothing to lose. The tournament bracket was announced that night. The semi-final match was set. The UES Indomitable would face the Thalan flagship Eternal Glory. On the human ship, Admiral Kang gathered his officers. "They think they know what is coming," he said. "They think we will play their game a little differently, but still play it. They are wrong." He looked at each of them. "Tomorrow we show them what human warfare really looks like." Commander Yoon smiled. "They are not going to like it." "No," said Admiral Kang, "they are not." The battle arena was a section of empty space 1,000,000 kilometers wide. Stars watched from far away like cold eyes. Today, billions of beings across the galaxy were watching screens. They wanted to see the upstart humans finally meet their end. The Eternal Glory entered the arena first. She was a beautiful ship. Her hull was covered in gold and silver metals that caught the starlight. She was 3 times the size of the Indomitable. Her weapons were the finest in the galaxy. She had never lost a battle, not once in 300 years of service. Blade Captain Korath stood on his bridge. His scales were polished to a shine. His medals hung perfectly on his chest. Behind him, his crew of 2,000 Thalan warriors waited at their stations. They were the best of the best, the pride of their species. Then the Indomitable arrived. She looked small. Her hull was gray and plain. She had no decorations, no gold, no symbols of glory. She looked like a tool, a weapon, something built for only one purpose. Korath opened a channel. "Human vessel. I am Blade Captain Korath of the Thalan Dominion. I challenge you to honorable combat. May the strongest warrior prove their worth." Admiral Kang's voice came back through the speakers. He spoke in perfect Thalan, which surprised Korath. The human had learned their language. "I am Admiral Kang Dohun of Earth. We accept your challenge. May we both fight well." There was respect in his voice. Korath found himself feeling something he did not expect. This human was not afraid. He was not boasting. He was simply ready. The signal came. The battle began. Korath gave the order to fire. The Eternal Glory opened up with everything she had. Energy beams cut through space like burning swords. The attack was beautiful. It was perfect. Every shot was aimed at exactly the right spot. The Indomitable did not fire back. Instead, she charged. The human ship flew straight into the attack. Her engines burned at full power. She twisted and turned, dodging some shots, taking others. Her shields flashed and sparked. Parts of her hull glowed red from hits. But she did not slow down. She kept coming. "What are they doing?" shouted one of Korath's officers. "They should be returning fire. They should be taking position." Korath understood. His hearts began to beat faster. "They are closing the distance. Our targeting systems are not designed for close range. They know this." The Indomitable was getting closer every second. The Eternal Glory's gunners tried to track her, but she was moving too fast. At long range, they were deadly accurate. At this range, they could not keep up. Then the human ship was right on top of them. Lieutenant Park Jiseok had been waiting for this moment. His hands moved across his controls. "All weapons. Fire." Everything the Indomitable had hit the Eternal Glory at once. Missiles slammed into her engine section. Kinetic rounds punched through her shields. Energy beams cut into her hull. It was not elegant. It was not artistic. It was brutal and ugly and absolutely devastating. The Thalan ship shook. Alarms screamed. Fires broke out in 3 sections. "Damage report!" Korath shouted. "Engines at 60%. Shields failing. They hit our weapon power systems." Korath made a decision. He had never done what he was about to do. No Thalan had ever done it, but these were not normal enemies. "All power to engines. Ram them." His crew stared at him. Ramming was for barbarians, for species without honor. But they obeyed. The Eternal Glory turned and charged at the Indomitable. On the human bridge, Commander Yoon saw it coming. "They are trying to ram us!" Admiral Kang smiled. "Good! Launch the pods!" Small objects shot out from the Indomitable's sides. They looked like missiles, but they did not explode when they hit the Thalan ship. They punched through the hull and stayed there. Boarding pods. Master Sergeant Choi Mira was in the first pod. She felt it crash through metal and stop. The door blew open. She was inside the enemy ship. "Go!" she shouted. Her Marines poured out behind her. They wore heavy armor. They carried weapons designed for close combat, and they carried things the Thalan had never seen before. Flash grenades. The Thalan had excellent eyes, too excellent. The blinding light burned into their vision and left them stumbling. Smoke bombs. The Thalan relied on seeing their enemies. In the thick smoke, they were helpless. But the humans had heat sensors in their helmets. They could see everything. Gas, not poison, just something that made it hard to breathe. The Thalan had no masks. Why would they? No one had used gas in warfare for thousands of years. It was uncivilized. The Thalan warriors were strong. They were fast. They were well-trained. But they had never faced anything like this. They fought back with their traditional weapons. But the humans moved like ghosts in the smoke. They attacked from every direction. They did not fight fair. Sergeant Choi led her team through the ship. They fought through corridor after corridor. The Thalan fell before them. Not because the humans were stronger, because the humans had spent 10,000 years learning how to fight dirty. An hour after the boarding began, Choi Mira reached the bridge. Korath was waiting. His crew lay around him, knocked out by the gas, but he had found a breathing mask somewhere. He stood alone in the center of his bridge, bleeding from wounds on his arms and chest. "Human," he said. His voice was tired but proud. "You fight without honor, without rules, without dignity." Choi Mira took off her helmet. Her face was scarred from old battles. Her eyes were cold. "We fight to win." Korath reached down and drew his blade. It was a beautiful weapon. It had been in his family for 500 years. "Then finish this, warrior to warrior." Choi Mira looked at the blade. She looked at the tall alien holding it. She could have shot him. Her rifle was right there in her hands. That would be the smart thing to do. Instead, she set down the rifle. She pulled the combat knife from her belt. It was nothing special, just steel. Just sharp. "Come," she said. Korath attacked. He was fast, faster than any human should be able to match. His blade sang through the air. But Choi Mira had been fighting since she was 16 years old. Her body had been changed to make her faster, stronger. She moved under his swing. Her knife found his arm, then his leg, then his side. Korath fell to his knees. His blade dropped from his hand. He looked up at the human woman standing over him. He expected to see hatred in her eyes, cruelty. He saw neither. He saw only tiredness, and maybe a little bit of respect. "You fought well," said Choi Mira. She did not kill him. The tournament rules said to disable, not destroy. She would follow that rule, at least. Far away, on Nexus Station, High Marshal Veltris watched the battle end. He saw his protege fall. He saw the human ship, damaged but victorious. begin to tow the eternal glory out of the arena. For the first time in 300 years, Veltris felt something cold in his chest. It took him a moment to recognize it. Fear. The galaxy was in chaos. News of the battle had spread to every corner of known space. The mighty Thalan had been defeated, not by another great power, not by a fleet of warships, by a single human vessel using tactics no one had seen in 10,000 years. Half of the galaxy condemned the humans. They called them savages, barbarians, animals who did not deserve to be called a civilized species. The other half watched in silence. Some of them had been under Thalan rule for centuries. They had never thought defeat was possible. Now they wondered what else might be possible. On Nexus Station, the Confederation Council met to decide what to do. High Marshal Veltris demanded that the humans be thrown out of the tournament. "They broke the spirit of combat," he roared. "They used tricks that no honorable species would use. They boarded our ship like pirates. This cannot stand." Ambassador Syrah stood on the other side of the chamber. Her 6 arms were spread wide in the gesture of her people that meant truth-telling. "The humans broke no written rule. Check the laws yourself. There is nothing that says ships cannot close distance, nothing that says soldiers cannot board enemy vessels. These rules were simply never needed before because no one ever thought to do such things. Because no civilized species would do such things," Veltris shouted. "Perhaps," said Syrah quietly. "That is the problem. We have been civilized for so long that we forgot what it means to truly fight." The council could not agree. They decided to wait, to think, to discuss. Veltris did not want to wait. On the Indomitable, things were busy. The ship was being repaired, the crew was resting. And in the medical bay, Dr. Bak Ionji had an unexpected patient. Blade Captain Korath lay on a bed designed for beings much larger than humans. His wounds had been treated. His life was not in danger, but he had not spoken since being brought aboard. Dr. Bayek checked his bandages. "Your healing is going well. Your species is very resilient." Korath finally looked at her. His eyes were the color of old gold. "Why did you save me? Your sergeant defeated me. By your rules and ours, she had the right to kill me." "We are doctors," said Bayek. "We save lives. That is what we do." "Even enemy lives?" "Especially enemy lives. A doctor does not choose who deserves to live." Korath was quiet for a long time. "My people think you are monsters. Animals without honor. But animals do not show mercy. Animals do not heal their enemies." He turned his head to look at the ceiling. "I do not understand you." "Maybe that is the problem," said Dr. Bayek. "No one has tried to understand us. They just judged us." The door opened. Master Sergeant Choi Mira walked in. She looked at Korath. He looked at her. Neither spoke for a moment. "You fought well," Choi finally said. "Better than most." "I lost. Losing is not shame. Giving up is shame. You did not give up." Korath studied the human woman. She was small. She was soft-looking. But he had felt her strength. He had seen her skill. "Where did you learn to fight like that?" "Earth, Mars, the moons of Jupiter, every colony that ever had a war." Choi sat down on a nearby chair. "We have been fighting each other since before we could write. It is in our blood." "That is what I do not understand," said Korath. "How can a species survive if it always fights itself?" Choi smiled. It was a sad smile. "We almost did not survive. Many times. But every time we came close to destroying ourselves, we found a way back. We learned. We adapted. We got stronger." She looked at her scarred hands. "The fire that almost killed us made us harder." Before Korath could respond, the ship's alarms began to wail. On the bridge, Admiral Kang was staring at his sensors. Ambassador Syrah had arrived minutes before with urgent news. Now they could see the truth of her words. The Thalan war fleet was moving. 200 ships. Dreadnoughts, battleships, carriers. They were not heading to the tournament arena. They were heading for a point in empty space. And they were telling the Indomitable to meet them there. "This is outside the tournament," said Syrah. Her voice was shaking. "This is not a challenge. This is a death sentence. Veltris wants to destroy you. He will not accept his defeat." Commander Yoon looked at the Admiral. "Sir, we cannot fight that many ships. We should run. Get back to Earth. Warn our people." "And then what?" asked Lieutenant Park. "They will follow. They will bring their fleet to Earth. At least here, we might have a chance." "What chance?" said Yoon. "One ship against 200? Admiral Kang was quiet. He was thinking. Everyone waited. Finally, he spoke. "If we run, they will think humans are cowards. Every species in this galaxy will believe we only won through tricks. They will think we are weak. And when Veltris follows us to Earth, no one will help us. No one stands with the weak." He stood up from his chair. "But if we fight, if we stand against impossible odds and refuse to break, then they will know what humans are made of. Win or lose, they will never forget." "We will die," said Dr. Beck quietly. She had come to the bridge with Sergeant Choi. Korath was with them, supported by 2 Marines. "Maybe," said Admiral Kang. "Probably. But our deaths will mean something. They will show the galaxy that humanity does not kneel, does not surrender, does not give up." He looked at each member of his crew. "I will not order anyone to do this. Anyone who wants to leave can take an escape pod. I will think no less of you." No one moved. Sergeant Choi Mira stepped forward. "What kind of message do we want to send to the galaxy?" Admiral Kang smiled. He turned to the communications officer. "Open a channel. Broadcast to the entire Confederation." The channel opened. Trillions of beings across thousands of worlds stopped what they were doing to listen. "This is Admiral Kang Do-hun of the United Earthship Indomitable. The Thalan Dominion has challenged us to battle outside the tournament. They bring 200 ships against 1. They think this will prove their strength." He paused. His voice grew harder. "We accept their challenge. We will meet their fleet at the coordinates they have given, and we will show them what humans do when pushed against a wall." He looked directly at the camera. "You wanted to know what makes humans dangerous? Come and find out." The channel closed. The Indomitable turned toward the meeting point. In the medical bay, Korath had heard every word. He did not know why, but he found himself hoping these strange, stubborn humans would survive. He did not think they would, but hope was a strange thing. The killing field was a forgotten system at the edge of nowhere. No planets, no stations, just empty space and dying stars. The Thalan had chosen it well. No one would come here. No one would help the humans. No one would see them die. High Marshal Veltris stood on the bridge of his command ship. Around him, 247 Thalan warships formed a perfect sphere. Every weapon was armed. Every warrior was ready. They had waited 3 days for the humans to arrive. Veltris smiled. "One ship against the greatest fleet in the galaxy. They are either very brave or very stupid." "Perhaps both, High Marshal," said one of his officers. A light flashed on the sensors. Something was coming out of hyperspace. The Indomitable appeared in the center of the sphere, alone, damaged, small. Veltris laughed. "Begin the slaughter." But before his ships could fire, the sensors flashed again, and again, and again. More ships were arriving. First came the warships, the UES Defiant, the UES Never Surrender, the UES Iron Will, every military vessel Earth could send. They were not many, only 30 proper warships, but they came. Then came others, trading ships with weapons welded to their hulls, mining vessels with their industrial lasers pointed forward, colony transports full of civilians who had volunteered to crew weapons stations. Old ships, new ships, big ships, small ships, Ships that had no business being in a battle. 412 human vessels appeared in the killing field, against 247 Thalan warships, but numbers told only part of the story. The Thalan ships were real warships, built for battle, crewed by trained warriors. The human fleet was mostly civilian ships held together by hope and stubborn will. Veltris stared at his screen. They brought their whole species, farmers, miners, workers. He shook his head. Fools, they will all die. On the Indomitable, Admiral Kang looked at the ragged fleet that had come to stand with him. His eyes were wet, but his voice was steady. All ships, this is Admiral Kang. I did not ask you to come. I did not expect you to come, but you are here, and I am proud to fight beside you. A voice came back over the radio. It was the captain of a mining ship. Admiral, we may not be soldiers, but we are human, and humans do not let their own stand alone. Across the galaxy, Ambassador Sierra had managed to get observation ships into position. Every screen on every world was showing the same thing. The impossible battle was about to begin. All ships, said Admiral Kang, charge! The human fleet moved as one. They did not take positions at safe distances. They did not form defensive lines. They attacked. 400 ships flying straight into the teeth of the Thalan guns. The Thalan opened fire. Energy beams filled the void. Ships began to die. A trading vessel exploded. A mining ship broke in half. A colony transport burned. The humans did not stop. They did not slow down. They kept coming. The Indomitable led the charge. Admiral Kang stood on his bridge even as explosions rocked the ship. Commander Yoon shouted orders. Lieutenant Park fired until his weapons glowed red. In the corridors, Sergeant Choi Mira led her Marines to seal breaches and fight fires. The human tactics were insane by any military standard. Mining ships flew directly at Thalan dreadnoughts, firing their cutting lasers until they crashed into enemy hulls. Trading vessels rammed Thalan weapon batteries, sacrificing themselves to protect the warships behind them. Colony transports unloaded their passengers into boarding pods and sent them screaming toward enemy bridges. It was not elegant. It was not beautiful. It was desperate and brutal and terrifying, and it was working. The Thalan had never faced enemies who would rather die than retreat. Their formations began to break. Their captains started making mistakes. Fear spread through their fleet like a disease. On his command ship, High Marshal Veltris watched in horror as a human mining vessel crashed into his flagship's engine section. The ship was crippled. He was helpless. "They are not fighting to win," he whispered. "They are fighting to make us bleed, to make us pay for every ship we destroy, to make sure we never forget what it costs to threaten their world." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, 203 human ships were destroyed. More than 40,000 humans were dead. But the Thalan fleet was broken. 80 ships destroyed. 60 more too damaged to fight, the rest running for home. The Indomitable was barely holding together. Half her decks were open to space. Her engines were gone. Admiral Kang had a piece of metal in his shoulder, but he refused to leave the bridge until he saw the last Thalan ship run. Then he collapsed. 1 week later, the Confederation Council met. The chamber was full. Every species had sent their leaders. Ambassador Syra stood before them. "You all saw what happened," she said. "You saw farmers and miners fly into the guns of the greatest fleet in the galaxy. You saw a species with nothing to gain and everything to lose stand and fight because they would not kneel." She looked at the Thalan representatives. High Marshal Veltris was not among them. He had been removed from command in disgrace. "The humans did not win through strength," Sierra continued. "They won through something we had forgotten existed. They won through spirit, through the willingness to sacrifice everything for each other." A new figure stepped forward. Blade Captain Korath. He had healed from his wounds. He wore no medals. He wore no honors. He wore only simple clothes. "I fought the humans," he said. "I was defeated by them. I was healed by them. I was on their ship when they went to face our fleet. And I saw something I have never seen in 300 years of Thalan rule." He paused. "I saw a species that does not know how to give up. They have been fighting since the day they were born. They fight each other. They fight nature. They fight death itself. And when they are pushed to the edge, they push back harder." He turned to face the full council. "I say humanity has proven themselves, not as the strongest, not as the wisest, but as survivors, as fighters, as equals." The vote was not close. Humanity was granted full membership in the Galactic Confederation. 6 months later, Admiral Kang Do-hoon stood on Earth. His hair was completely white now. His arm had been fixed, but his eyes still carried the weight of everyone he had lost. He watched the first true diplomatic convoy rise into the sky. Commander Yoon Hana would lead it. She had been promoted to admiral. She deserved it. Sergeant Choi Mira stood beside him. She had retired from active service. She spent her days training new soldiers now, teaching them how to fight, how to survive, how to never give up. "Do you think they will accept us?" she asked. "Really accept us?" Admiral Kang watched the ships climb higher and higher. They claimed to master combat. They spent 10,000 years making war into art, into beauty, into games. He smiled. It was a tired smile, but it was real. "We mastered survival. We learned it the hard way, through blood and fire and pain. And that, Sergeant, is not something you can learn from a book." Above them, the convoy entered hyperspace. They carried humanity's message to the stars. "We come in peace, but we carry our history with us, and we will never kneel."